A Tale of the Ocean's Wonders. It was a bright Saturday morning in late summer, the kind of day that seemed perfect for an adventure. The sky was a flawless canvas of blue, and the sun hung low, casting a warm, golden glow over everything. For most of the year, 18-year-old Emma and her 18-year-old twin brother, Ethan, had been caught up in their own routines, school, work, and the responsibilities that came with being on the cusp of adulthood. But today, they had decided to take a break from their usual busy lives. The two of them had been planning a special picnic for weeks now, a chance to unwind and enjoy each other's company. What do you think? Should we take the usual spot by the lake, or venture out to the beach this time? Emma asked as she tossed a picnic basket into the back of their family van. She had an easy smile, always the more spontaneous of the two, and today was no exception. Ethan, taller and with a more thoughtful demeanor, leaned against the van and squinted toward the horizon. I don't know. I've been thinking we could go a bit further today. Maybe take the boat out and see where the day takes us. The weather's perfect for an adventure. Emma grinned. A boat ride? Now you're talking my language. She hopped into the passenger seat, and Ethan quickly started the engine. The drive was long, but the idea of a little impromptu getaway was too enticing to pass up. Their destination was a small, isolated cove a few hours away from their home, a place they had been to as kids but had long forgotten about. Surrounded by cliffs and bordered by a quiet beach, the cove was a hidden gem, far enough from the crowds that it felt like their own private slice of paradise. As they arrived, the sight of the beach, soft golden sand stretching out toward the ocean, the gentle waves rolling in, was enough to make both of them pause for a moment. The air smelled of salt and fresh seaweed, and the only sounds were the waves and the occasional call of seagulls in the distance. I can't believe we haven't come here in so long, Emma said, stretching her arms out. She felt a sense of freedom and nostalgia all at once. It feels like we're kids again. Ethan nodded, smiling. Yeah, it's nice to get away from everything, even if just for a day. They unloaded the van, setting up their picnic on the soft sand beneath a large umbrella. The food was simple: sandwiches, fresh fruit, snacks, and lemonade, but the atmosphere made everything taste better. As they ate, they chatted about everything and nothing: school, old memories, the future. I was thinking, Emma said, her voice thoughtful. Remember how we always talked about going underwater as kids? We'd pretend to be explorers in the deep sea. What if we really did that today? Ethan raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Underwater? You mean, like, with the boat? Emma shook her head, her eyes lighting up with excitement. No, not just the boat. I mean, we could do something more. We could go for a swim, see what's really out there beneath the water. Who knows what we might find? Ethan smiled, shaking his head in mock disbelief. You've been reading those nature books again, haven't you? But, okay, I'm in. I've always wanted to see the underwater world for real. After finishing their picnic, they decided to go for a swim. They pulled on their wetsuits and grabbed their snorkeling gear, which they had brought along just in case. The cove was known for its clear waters, and they could already see the colorful fish darting below the surface. They waded into the shallow water, their feet sinking into the soft sand beneath them. The ocean was cool but not too cold, and the waves were gentle, making it a perfect day for exploring. As they ventured further out, the water deepened, and the world around them began to transform. When they put on their snorkeling masks and dove beneath the surface, the underwater world revealed itself in a way they had never imagined. The clarity of the water was astonishing, and they could see for yards in every direction. Fish of every color swam past them: bright yellow tangs, shimmering blue parrotfish, and schools of silver sardines that moved like a single fluid entity. Emma and Ethan exchanged excited glances, marveling at the beauty that surrounded them. This is amazing, Emma breathed, her voice muffled by the mask. It's like a whole other world down here. Ethan nodded in awe. I had no idea there was so much life down here. It's like we're in an aquarium. They swam further, diving deeper into the underwater world. As they glided through the water, they came across a coral reef. The reef was a stunning sight, covered in anemones, soft corals, and sponges, all teeming with life. Small shrimp and colorful sea slugs darted between the corals, while a large sea turtle gracefully glided past them, its shell an intricate pattern of green and brown. "Look!" Ethan gestured toward a small group of dolphins playing in the distance. The creatures seemed to beckon them, jumping and flipping in the water with effortless grace. Emma's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Dolphins. I've always wanted to see them up close. Let's swim over and see if we can get a closer look." With synchronized strokes, they swam toward the dolphins, who, to their surprise, swam toward them as well. It was as if the dolphins were curious about the two humans in their world. For a few moments, they swam together, the dolphins leaping in and out of the water in an almost playful dance. "I can't believe this is happening," Emma said, her voice filled with wonder. "I've seen dolphins in documentaries, but seeing them in person, this is like a dream." Ethan nodded, equally captivated. "It's incredible. I've always loved the ocean, but this is something else." As they swam alongside the dolphins, they noticed something unusual, something they hadn't seen before. In a small cove just beyond the reef, a group of shimmering creatures swam in tight circles. At first, they thought they were fish, but as they got closer, they realized they were jellyfish, glowing jellyfish with bioluminescent bodies that lit up the water around them in an ethereal blue glow. "This is unreal," Emma whispered in awe, her hand reaching out to touch one of the jellyfish. She hesitated for a moment, but the creatures didn't seem threatening. "Do you think they're dangerous?" Ethan shook his head. "I don't think so, but we should probably keep our distance." "They're beautiful, though." The jellyfish glowed softly in the water, their translucent bodies pulsing in a slow rhythm. Emma and Ethan watched in wonder, entranced by the mesmerizing sight. As they continued to swim, they found even more amazing creatures, seahorses, starfish, and even a pair of curious octopuses hiding beneath a rock, their tentacles reaching out to explore their surroundings. The underwater world was vast and full of surprises, each new discovery more enchanting than the last. But as the sun began to dip lower in the sky, they knew it was time to head back. Reluctantly, they swam back toward the shore, their minds racing with the sights and creatures they had just encountered. Back on land, they lay on the soft sand, catching their breath as they watched the stars slowly begin to appear in the night sky. Both Emma and Ethan were quiet, each of them lost in their own thoughts about the incredible underwater world they had just witnessed. "That was beyond words," Ethan said finally, his voice filled with awe. "I don't even know how to describe it. It was like a different universe down there." Emma nodded, her mind still racing with images of the dolphins, jellyfish, and the colorful fish. "I know. It was like a dream. I never want to forget this day." Ethan smiled, a thoughtful look on his face. "How about we take something home to remember it by? Not something big, just something small, a memento." They both stood up, walking along the beach as they scanned the sand. After a few minutes, Emma spotted something half buried in the sand. It was a small, smooth shell, pale and delicate, with an intricate spiral pattern on the surface. "This is perfect," she said, holding it up to Ethan. "It's like a little piece of the ocean." Ethan took the shell from her and nodded in agreement. "It'll remind us of everything we saw today. And maybe it'll inspire us to come back one day and explore even more." They made their way back to the van, the small shell tucked safely in Emma's pocket. The ride home was quiet, each of them reflecting on the day's adventure. When they arrived at their house, they placed the shell on their shared dresser, a simple yet perfect keepsake of their unforgettable underwater journey. From then on, whenever Emma or Ethan caught sight of the shell, they would smile, remembering the adventure they had shared, the dolphins, the jellyfish, and the amazing underwater creatures. It became more than just a souvenir. It was a reminder of the world beneath the surface, a world they had glimpsed and never forgotten. And every time they saw the shell, they would recall the lesson they had learned that day, that the most extraordinary things were often hidden just below the surface, waiting to be discovered.